In today's climate, nothing will make you a more accurate or confident shooter than Crimson Trace laser sighting systems. Get the immediate, decisive advantage of the world's only grip-integrated laser sights today. Shoot better. Stay safer. Crimson Trace.
I'm a gun owner.
Your views, advice, and questions are the driving force of Gun Talk.
I don't think that guns are scary things.
Visit us online at www.guntalk.com. Call Tom now at 866-TALK-GUN, 866-825-5486. Let us know what you think about the gun-related issues of the day. Now, back to Gun Talk.
Busy. We got in our Ruger BX triggers. They're brand new triggers for the 10/22 rifles. And been overall at galleryguns.com finding 10/22s and looking at the deals available over there. Yeah, we're crazy enough. We would actually get a trigger and then buy a gun for it. Not that we don't have a 10/22, but just maybe we want another one. Is there ever such a thing as too many 22 guns? I mean, just love them. 866-TALK-GUN gets you in here. By the way, we're giving away a trigger. Everybody who gets on the air today gets a new free Ruger BX trigger for their 10/22. Fun stuff. We are having a ball today. One of the people I really like to chat with because he has a different way of looking at things, and I think sometimes we need a different way of explaining things to get people to start thinking about it. And I read a piece he wrote in the Shooting Wire recently, and I said, we got to talk about this. Paul Erhardt joins us right now. Hello, Paul. How are you?
Hey, Tom. How are you?
Well, I am doing great. Your piece essentially said, hey, this is where we are. We just won this election, but does it really mean anything? And the media continues to beat us up and even to lie about it. And your question was, where do we go from here? Is there a way to capsulize where do we go from here?
Well, I think that, the go from here aspect is not to focus on, well, we won with a power shift in Washington, and therefore, it's clear sailing. We need to look at it as that was yesterday. What have you done for me today in terms of our own effort on communication? We need to, get the proper information out there. We need to be ready for those big stories when they pop up, even when they're really ugly stories that involve firearms. And we need to be promoting, the positive stories where, we look ahead to the Olympics in the future, and Kim Rhodey will be competing for yet another, record-setting medal appearance. We've got local shooters, competing in regional, national events all around the country in various disciplines. And we need to be talking about them because the media sees firearms only in one way, and that is through their own broadcast nightly news about crime. And their assumption is that everybody, that firearms are all about crime. So anybody who owns a gun may not be a criminal, but they are on the periphery of that criminal element and a tragedy waiting to happen.
And you just sent me a link to a story, and I got to read just a little bit of it because it makes your point. This was written by Charles Cook, National Review Online. And just the first paragraph, I think, captures so much of this. He says, angered by the news that American voters are now more supportive of the Second Amendment than they have been in 2 decades. This was a brand new poll. The New York Daily News' Mike Lupica used his weekly column to vent. Over the course of 900 words, Lupica lambasted the public for continuing, quote, to protect gun nuts, close quote, chided the, quote, mouth-breathing, unquote, NRA for its murderous myopia, thank you, and contended emotively that there are no words available to describe the horror of a recent poll that says a majority of Americans believe it is more important to protect the right to own guns than it is for the government to limit access to guns. And Lupica, of course, goes on and on about essentially saying that, as you said, Paul, guns equal crime, crimes equal gun. So when you say gun, what they hear is crime. When you say gun, what they hear is murder. You know what? We end up always coming back to the same thing, which is messaging, isn't it?
Yeah, it always is. And particularly what is disconcerting to me is, we're gun nuts. Now, explain to me what about you makes you a nut? Or me, or any of the folks we run into on a daily basis that are out there on the range. Nothing. Everybody who's got a concealed carry weapons permit has gone through an extensive background check at the local level and been okay. They're not gun nuts. The people who compete are not nuts. They're enthusiastic, yes, but that doesn't make them nuts.
You could say they're nuts in the same way that some can be a car nut or, a collector nut or scrapbooking nut, but that just means an enthusiast.
True. And that's how we use the term. That is not how Lupica is using a term.
Right.
He is using it in a derisive way to belittle you, me, everybody we know who is a law-abiding firearms owner and enthusiast when it comes to shooting. And that's what's really disconcerting, because that's perfectly fine. But if he were to say, write about, Muslims in the context of a terrorist act and then paint all of them as extremists, which would be racist and unfair, he would never do that. Mm-hmm. But it's perfectly fine to do that when it comes to gun owners, because we're not a race, we're not a religion.
I've always said that we are the one area where many in the media are allowed to be openly bigoted and get away with it.
Absolutely. And the interesting thing about all the major horrific events that involve a firearm, the Sandy Hook event, the Virginia Tech event, all the Colorado movie theater event, all of these murders are carried out by people who are mentally unbalanced, deranged. I'm happy to use the term crazy, though it's not politically correct. Mm-hmm. They go out and do that. The question is never about mental stability. It's always about firearms. It's never about, and it's as if, drunk driving is never, it's always about the drunk driver. It's never about the car or the alcohol itself.
Well, to your point, I mean, these most recent lawsuits, the families of the victims of Newtown turning around and now suing Bushmaster, they would never think of suing Chevrolet if their son or daughter was run over by a drunk driver.
Exactly. And there's two reasons for this. One, I understand partly why they do this. I can't imagine the enormity of the grief that they go through day in and day out. And one can't belittle, their position. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't make it fair or right. And yes, they would not, go after an automotive manufacturer. They would not go after a spirits distiller in the same way. But, a child lost to a drunk driver is no less, tragic or no less important or their family less grief-stricken than the families at Sandy Hook. Yet, it's okay to say we're going to go after the gun manufacturer. So they sold theirs legally, and through a process where it went through a background check from the FBI.
Okay, Paul, I mean, we know what's actually going on here. And for those who haven't quite peeled back enough layers of the onion yet, this is the gun ban industry. The gun ban organizations have gone to these families and said, we want to help you with this. We will provide the attorneys. We will do this, because they failed before by getting all these cities to sue gun makers. And they had a very clear public statement. They said, our plan is to destroy the firearms industry in the United States by suing them out of existence. And that didn't work. Congress passed a law that says you can't sue a manufacturer for making a non-defective product because somebody goes and misuses it. Now they're saying, we want another bite at that apple. We're going to come up with this very odd, twisted, tortured legal thought process. And they have conned, in a callous and cruel manner, conned these families into stretching out their pain through these lawsuits so that the gun ban industry can get back in there and try to destroy the firearms manufacturing industry.
Yeah, and I can't. While I want to point the finger at the families, if I were one of those families, I would seek vengeance on the entire world.
Sure.
I would not. I couldn't I could not feel that way. But that isn't proper, and it's not right. It's not just. And what the gun ban industry is hoping is that they can harness public sympathy and the vast amount of sympathy and emotive, support that they get from the media to advance this case as far along as possible. And that's what's trial by, emotion or a sense of vengeance is not, a just system.
All right, let me jump to the area where we just kind of quickly, as we say, okay, where do we go from here? And we're talking about messaging. It sounded to me like when we first started out, one of the thoughts that you had is, my mother used to say, kill them with kindness. In this case, just smother them with positive stories because we have so many of them. Is that a pretty good plan for going forward?
Yeah, we've been very deficient in doing that. Our big picture communication has been about the fight for gun rights. And in the meantime, we haven't been, promoting the lower level stuff, which is, Tom Gresham goes out, shoots the state championship and wins. Hey, let's put Tom in the local paper. Congratulations, Gresham.
That would actually be in Ripley's Believe It or Not. That would not actually happen, but that's.
But those kinds of stories go, I see what's happening. I see a sporting use of that. And it then becomes a daily, the more we do that, it becomes a regular event of sporting competitive use. So when I say there's no sporting use, you're like, wait a minute, I keep reading about these local guys who are competing at the state and national level all the time. What do you mean there's no sense of that?
And as a guy who works with the media, there are ways to get us. People say, well, they won't run the story. Yes, they will. Do you have a 14-year-old girl shooting an AR-15 competitively? You have a story.
Yeah, and NBC ran a great story with a brilliant young girl, and I forget her name, but she did an absolutely brilliant job answering questions. But the story at the same time showed what always happens is she was made to answer questions about what do you say to people who say this is too powerful a gun or powerful guns like this shouldn't be used and blah, blah, blah. And why is she, at her young age, supposed to be the great defender of... Right.
Instead of just covering it as a sporting event and a story. Yeah.
And it was a great human interest story. She did a brilliant, brilliant job. My hat's off to her. And it was a fairly, strong, positive piece, but for the context that the media can't escape, which is a negative. And the only way we can get them to get off the negative aspect of it is to constantly hit them with positive stuff, whether we're fundraising at events, whether, people are competing and winning, whether we're selecting kids to go to the Olympics. These are all important stories that they need to hear.
That's exactly it. And if you have a gun club, a shooting range, you have to be pouring those stories out. That has to be, just as you have an advertising budget for your business, you need to budget time to put out stories and work with the media. If we have hundreds and then thousands and then hundreds of thousands of positive stories about gun ownership and gun owners, we can pretty much put a stop to this because, as this column says, gun control advocates, they lie about guns. Paul Erhardt, thank you so much. Tell them where they can read what you're up to these days.
They can find us at www.shootingwire.com.
There you go. And Paul's writings are always worthwhile. Thank you, my friend, and I will see you at the SHOT Show.
Yes, see you there, Tom. Thanks so much.
All right, you take care. All right, 866 Talk Gun. This is Gun Talk.
At Double Tap Ammunition, we hand inspect every round that we make, and we use only the best components to give you the best ammunition on the market. Try us out at www.doubletapammo.com and use the promo code GUNTALK for 10% off your order.
The XDM 3.8 Compact from Springfield Armory is 2 guns in 1. Use as your concealed carry gun with a compact magazine and use the extended magazine for home defense. Carry 13 rounds of 9mm in the compact magazine and a whopping 19 rounds in the extended magazine. To see the entire family of Springfield Armory XDM pistols, go to SpringfieldArmory.com. That's SpringfieldArmory.com.
Attacks happen every day. How will you react? See real people put into real-life criminal attack situations on First Person Defender. Discover what works and what doesn't. Kidnapping, ATM robbery, home invasion, and other attacks. Learn how to save your life and the lives of your family. Get the entire first season on DVD at shopguntalk.com. Get prepared. shopguntalk.com.
Are you looking for a place to shoot? The National Shooting Sports Foundation has a great website called wheretoshoot.org. It's the largest database of shooting ranges on the internet. It's also a great resource for shooters where you can find video tips, printable targets, and a lot more. Find it online at wheretoshoot.org. And while you're there, download their free iPhone app. That's wheretoshoot.org.
Hi, I'm Michael Bain. You know I hate cleaning guns, so anything that makes that job faster and easier is definitely a plus. And that's where Bore Tips come in. These reusable, lint-free cleaning swabs make cleaning a breeze. And the tighter-fitting Bore Tips do a better job on barrels than cotton mops or patches. Hey, it's a dirty job. Let Bore Tips help. To find a dealer, visit boretips.com.
Accurate, powerful, consistent. At Double Tap Ammunition, we offer 364 loads in 83 calibers that give you exactly what you've been looking for. Try us out at www.doubletapammo.com and use the promo code GUNTALK for 10% off your order.
Celebrating the joy of the season. Thanks for listening to Gun Talk. Now, once again, here's Tom Gresham.
All right, welcome back. 866-TALK-GUN. We've got a bunch of people online, but you can get in here if you'd like to join us. 866-TALK-GUN. John's in Tennessee. He's on line 3. Hey, John, what you looking for?
Well, I'm looking at a HK P30 or the VP9, which is the striker fired versus the hammer fired, and I'm just trying to get some information on what the difference is and why I would want one over the other.
Yeah. You know, it's like Fords and Chevys. It's there are a few kind of generic differences, but honestly, it's almost a matter of just which one. Well, let me back up. Have you had a chance to see them or handle them in a store yet?
I have, and they both, it appears they've used almost the same frame and everything for each gun. The only thing different is the P30 has a safety and a rear decocker and a hammer, and the other is just striker fired, but the handle's ergonomically the same, and the frame and the length and everything, the weight's almost identical.
Okay, so the question then becomes do you like the external safety, the thumb safety? Do you like a hammer? Do you like the decocker? Or do you prefer a simple Kodak type gun, a point and shoot, if you will, where you pick it up and pull the trigger and you don't have to do anything to it? What's your preference?
Well, I've got the hammer fired with the safety and SIGs I've got, and I've not really dealt much with the striker fired, I guess the Glocks or the HKs in this matter, and I just don't know a lot about them, and that's the reason I guess I'm just trying to get some information or knowledge. Is there a lot of difference other than, like you say?
No. There really isn't. If you're comfortable operating the controls, which is really what we're talking about, then there's not much of a difference there. I'm trying to remember, the P30, is that a double action, single action? I think it is.
Yes, it is.
Okay, that would be the major difference. If you're going to have carry it with the hammer down and shoot the first shot double action, then it switches to single action, and after that, that's a major difference in the guns. And some people can master that. I am not one of those. I much prefer single action or striker fired, or even I would even prefer an all double action trigger pull. I just haven't shot them. And I admit it's me. I'm not willing to go out and shoot them enough to be able to have the heavy double action pull that switches to a single action pull. That's just me. But I guess what I'm saying is it ends up going back to personal preference. If you like one over the other, for whatever reason, that's a valid reason. I don't think it's the case of one being better than the other.
All right. I knew the striker fire did come with the safety, and I didn't know, but it's probably more built into the trigger, I guess, on that gun, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they have safety mechanisms in there, but maybe not an external thumb safety on there. So, you know what? Pick the one you like. HK makes great guns. You are not going to make a mistake here, so it's going to work out for you. And look, we'll be sending you your Ruger BX trigger. I thank you for your call, sir. Andrew is on line one. He is in Virginia. Hey, Andrew, how are you?
I'm doing well, Tom. How are you?
I'm good. What you looking for here?
Well, I've been listening to you for about a year and a half, 2 years now, and I've always been a 40 cal guy. All my pistols I've ever bought have been 40 cal, and I've stocked up on a lot of 40 cal. But you're starting to convince me that 9mm might be a better option in terms of capacity and everything else. So my question to you really is, I've got a Glock 27 that I currently carry most of the time for concealed carry. Would you, I know we've been talking a lot about the legal issues of getting trigger jobs and not on your carry pistol. So my question to you is, would that fall into, as well as like getting a 9mm conversion barrel and things like that for my Glock? Should I do that, or should I just go ahead and look into getting either a Springfield Armory XDS or Glock 26 or whatever I might go with, just going with
look,
the 9.
You know where I'm going to come down. I'm going to come down on the side of buy a new gun. Always add more guns. That's my solution, because I just think it's fun to have different guns. But look, seriously, I mean, Andrew, what do you want to do? I guess that's the real question, is what appeals to you? Do you want to keep that gun and add another one? Or do you want to do conversions to it? What do you want to do?
Oh, goodness. The financial side of me says go the conversion route.
Right.
Every other part of my body is saying, get a new gun, get a new gun. But,
well, you know what? Here's what we got to do. Here's my suggestion. Go the conversion route for now. That way you'll have, in essence, two guns. You can switch back and forth. If you like the 9, for whatever reason, keep that gun. You now have a 40 and a 9. And if you want to buy yet another gun, you can certainly do that too. Look, there's nothing in the world wrong with 40s. Great defensive caliber. You're going to have a little bit less ammo. It's going to have a little bit more recoil than a 9. But, if you've got them and you shoot them and you've got ammo for it, I wouldn't be in a great big hurry to, try to convert everything to 9. If you want to buy a 9, buy it for its own value. But just because I like 9s doesn't mean 40 is not a valid choice. 45 is good. Hey, 50s are good.
One of Talker Magazine's 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America. You're listening to Gun Talk, heard every week at this time on great radio stations across America. Stay tuned. Gun Talk is coming right back. Covering all aspects of gun ownership every week on this fine radio station. You're listening to Gun Talk with Tom Gresham.
Holy cow. The Ruger BX trigger, it's at shopruger.com. Might want to get your order in right now. It looks like we have hammered them. They may be out of stock. If they're back ordering, you want to get your order in as fast as you can. So go to shopruger.com and you can order that BX trigger, or you can call us now and get on the air. And if you get on the air with me today, you're going to get a free Ruger BX trigger. We're also giving away our Springfield Armory Cool package. If you go to erase that, back up. Go to guntalk.com/win, WIN. You can enter for a chance to win the giveaway, which is the Springfield Armory XD Mod 2. Great pistol in 40 bitone. It's a nice rig. All right, 866-TALK-GUN gets you in here. Derek is called in from North Carolina. He's on 2. Hello, Derek. What you looking for here?
Hey, I'm shopping around for an AR parts for an AR pistol build.
Okay.
And I'm kind of looking at a couple of uppers. One of them is a 10.5-inch barrel, and one's a 12-inch. And I'm wondering if there's any real difference or advantage one way or the other between that 1.5 inches.
Well, my crack staff here went to work on that, and they said that the difference is roughly 1.5 inches or 3.81 centimeters. So, actually, I don't think so. I think it's just personal preference. The one thing I do know that, depending on if you're building it, what I'm told, somebody can help me out on this. I am told that as barrels get shorter, more problematic or more challenging to get an AR action to work reliably. I'm not sure what the mechanism is or what's going on there, but, honestly, I can't imagine there's that much difference. I mean, it's an inch and a half. Which one do you favor? Which one do you want?
Well, honestly, I don't really know. That's what I was calling.
Yeah. You know what? What's going to happen? It doesn't matter. Get whichever one you like the looks of or has the best price or whatever. After you get it and start shooting it, it won't matter at all. You won't even notice. You won't even think about it. So the main thing is just to get it and start building it. Yeah. All right. Well, Derek, listen, I appreciate your call, and we'll be getting you your new Ruger BX trigger. Dan called in from California. Dan, he's on line 4. Dan's got some. What are you doing with a 9mm in a rifle, Dan?
Well, I don't have one, but I'm thinking about one. I was wondering what your thoughts are about the 9mm as a rifle round, because that would be real practical. Then you'd have one type of ammo for a handgun and a rifle.
Okay, what rifle are you looking at?
I've been looking at, there's a couple of AR platforms. I think the Delton and the High Point both have 9 and 45 capabilities. And I wondered also what you thought of those, because they're a good deal cheaper.
They are, and why not? I guess as far back as 150 years ago, people were trying to get a revolver, cowboy style, and a lever action in the same caliber, so they could use the same ammo. Now, if you're riding around the range on a horse, you only have to carry one type of ammo. I can see the advantage there. I'm not sure we really have that much of an issue. It's not that big a deal to have two different kinds of ammo. At the same time, 9mm ammo is really cheap these days. You can get some really good deals on it. If you buy in quantity, go out and buy you 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 rounds of ammo. You could get some deals. And pistol cartridges fired in rifles, to me, are just fun. They're kind of like a .22, but with some more oomph, but they don't kick and bellow and everything like a rifle. So I would say, look, if you think it's a good idea and you want to do it, by all means do it. I think they're fun.
At all.
Okay. Well, Dan, I appreciate it. Let me see. Oh, yeah, I got to get down to Steve here, because Steve has been on hold for just a little while on line 3 in Mississippi. Hello, Steve.
Hey, Tom, how are you? Merry Christmas.
Thank you, sir.
I was just wondering if these new BX trigger groups will fit in a Ruger 1022 in Magnum.
No, I do not believe they will. So I think you're going to have to go with, that's for a standard 1022 long rifle. I don't think it's going to work in the Magnum version. So, and I don't know if they're going to bring out one for that. I mean, the numbers are going to be with the 22 long rifle, of course. Is that what? Do you have the Magnum?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I like it very well.
Okay, good deal. Well, look, I appreciate the call, sir. Let me run to a quick break here. We'll come back and take some more calls. 866-TALK-GUN. 866-TALK-GUN. Be right back with more gun talk.
This holiday season, give the gift of ammo. With a Mech Reloader, your loved one can load shot shells for hunting or target shooting and save money compared to store-bought ammo. With over 2 million reloaders sold since 1956, Mech has helped more people start reloading shot shells than all others combined. Just go to mechreloaders.com to see more. They have experienced customer service representatives to answer any questions. Go to mechreloaders.com or ask your local gun retailer about Mech Reloaders.
Brownells proudly celebrates 75 years of history and heritage as the world's first choice for firearms, accessories, ammunition, and gunsmithing tools. So whether you're a gunsmith in need of parts and supplies, a new shooter looking for the perfect holster, or a skilled competitor seeking the latest gear, Brownells has what you need. And best of all, every purchase comes with the industry's only forever satisfaction guarantee. Visit us at Brownells.com.
The Ruger American Rimfire Rifle combines features of the Ruger American Rifle and innovations of the 1022 Rimfire Rifle to appeal to all bolt-action enthusiasts. It features a modular stock system that provides comb height options for scope or iron sight use. a power bedding integral bedding block system for outstanding accuracy, a Ruger Marksman adjustable trigger, and a 1022 style rotary magazine for reliable feeding. The Ruger American Rimfire Rifle, another rugged, reliable firearm from Ruger.
For 36 years, the U.S. Sportsmen's Alliance has been fighting to protect hunting, fishing, and trapping for sportsmen from coast to coast. Today, we are under constant attack from extremist animal rights groups who want to end your ability to hunt in the U.S. Join us to protect our sporting heritage and our way of life outdoors. To join or for more information on how you can help, go to ussportsman.org. That's ussportsman.org.
You already know Liberty safes are great values. Now they're offering an even sweeter deal for Gun Talk listeners. At libertysafe.com, click on the Fat Boy safe and type in Tom. Liberty will give you up to $250 off your purchase. Protect the things you value most. libertysafe.com, click the Fat Boy safe, promo code Tom, save up to $250. That's libertysafe.com. libertysafe.com.
Gun Talk, wishing you the merriest of Christmases and a happy and prosperous 2015.
All right, welcome back. Yes, that Pew Research poll, they've been doing this poll for 20 years, and they say that the public supports gun rights at a level never before seen. Many, many more people now say that Second Amendment rights, gun rights, are more important than the government controlling guns. That's a good thing. We have to keep that going. We do that by messaging, by talking it up, by behaving correctly, by being safe with our gun handling. Basically, set a good example out there. Also, this news out of the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. The federal law prohibiting anyone who has ever been committed to a mental institution from owning a gun is unconstitutional, according to the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. Quote, the government's interest in keeping firearms out of the hands of the mentally ill is not sufficiently related to depriving the mentally healthy who had a distant episode of commitment of their constitutional rights. So here's what you got. You got a 73-year-old gentleman, Clifford Tyler, in Michigan. He brought the case. He was committed for less than a month 28 years ago, when his wife served him with divorce papers, ran away with another man, depleted his bank account. He was feeling overwhelmed. His children found him in the middle of the floor at home, pounding his head. A psychological evaluation found that he was depressed, sobbing, had suicidal thoughts, and had not been sleeping. He was in a psychiatric center for 2 to 4 weeks, then went home, has never had any more issues. 28 years ago. But as a result of that, he lost his Second Amendment rights for life. The Sixth Circuit says, nah. And they applied strict scrutiny to this, which is very important. Expect this to go somewhere. Expect this to have some legs. Line 1, Joe's with us out of Florida with what sounds like an interesting story. Hey, Joe, what you got?
Hi, Tom. Merry Christmas to you and your staff.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody knows the 4 rules of gun safety. I think you need to add another one, which is don't make your dog mad if you got a loaded gun in the back of your truck.
Ruh-roh.
There's a man out of Wyoming. Him and some friends were trying to move another vehicle off the road, and his dog was being feisty, so he made him go and get in the back seat of his 4-door pickup, where he left his fully loaded 300 Win Mag rifle with the safety off. Well, the dog is hopping around and wound up tripping the trigger, and it shot the guy in the left arm.
Wow.
And he is going to be very lucky. According to the news, he'll be very lucky if he doesn't lose the arm. He's very lucky that it just hit him in the arm and not like center mass or something. But, you make a dog mad, you give him a 300 Win Mag, bad things can happen.
Well, we can go over the whole deal of, let's see, we have a loaded rifle laying in the back seat of the car, a hunting rifle. Really? People? Seriously? I was out deer hunting yesterday, spent most of the day yesterday. And Joe, look, appreciate your call and look forward to, we'll be sending you the Ruger BX trigger. Spent most of the day hunting yesterday. And when I would get into the four-wheel drive Jeep, I would unload the rifle. And I actually had the Ruger American rifle, which is nice because it has the detachable box magazine. You can pop it out. But I would take a round out of the chamber. My whole deal is simple. I am not in such a big hurry. I'm not going to shoot something out of the vehicle, illegal. I am not going to shoot on the road, illegal. If something happened and I couldn't get the gun out, big deal. You know, and I guess, let me just do this right now. It's Christmas time. We're also just about to hit New Year's resolutions, all of that. I'm going to ask you each to make your own personal commitment. You got to do this for yourself and for your family. Because you need to understand this, not just because it might endanger your family, because if you get killed, that impacts your family. So you do it for them too. Here's the thing. I would ask you to make a commitment to become an absolute gun safety fanatic. What does that mean? Well, it means you practice, you understand, you practice, and you live the 4 rules of gun safety. All guns are always loaded. So you treat them as though they're loaded. Never point a gun at anything you're not willing to destroy. Ever. Keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are on the target and you are ready to shoot. And number 4, be sure of your target and what's behind it. You're responsible for everything that bullet does until it quits moving. Period. What's it mean to become a gun safety fanatic? You simply slow down, you're careful, you are deliberate about gun motion, where the muzzle's pointing, about racking the slide, locking the slide back. If a gun goes down on the table at the shooting range, the slide is open so everybody can see that's unloaded. If you are unsure, ask. If you're unsure, stop. If you are unsure, just make sure the gun is pointed in a safe direction. What's a safe direction mean? It means if you're aiming it at the wall of your house to dry fire, and should it go off, it would go through the wall and hit your neighbor. That's not a safe direction. Oh, never thought of that. Yeah. If at any point, at any time, the gun went off, would it hit somebody? If so, it's not pointed in a safe direction. I guess I would just ask you to, in the quiet of your home, in the comfort of your big easy chair, give a few thoughts to, am I being absolutely as safe as I can? Am I an absolutely gun safety fanatic? Because that's what it takes. That's the norm. That should be the norm. Anyway, I would ask you to do that for yourself, for your family. Ray is in Oklahoma. He's on line 2. Hello, Ray. Talk to me about this rifle. I'm good.
I'm going to buy a Savage Mark II with the bull barrel 22, and it's got the AccuTrigger on it, and I was wanting to know if you know anything about them.
Yeah, it's outstanding. You will love it. It shoots like crazy. I love the AccuTrigger. Savage with the AccuTrigger really kind of pushed the rest of the firearms industry, the gun makers, into putting good triggers into their guns again with this great design. The only thing you need to do is put a really good scope on it and stock up as best you can on 22 ammo and have a ball. Savage has really been pushing the market. A lot of people chasing it. In most part, they've all caught up. I mean, we have things like, what I was out with yesterday, the Ruger American rifle. Wow, what a shooter. Mine's in 7mm08. I've got a 1.5 to 6 variable on it. Man, that is nice. All right, 866-TALK-GUN will get you in here. Anybody who gets on the air today gets a free Ruger BX trigger for your 10/22 rifle. Can't beat that.
Gun Talk stands for safety, personal responsibility, and common courtesy. To be a part of the show, call 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. Gun Talk will be right back.
Hey, don't go away because just a few minutes we're going to be talking about 22 ammo, accurate ammo. Some really cool stuff coming up there. Our number 866-TALK-GUN will get you in. If you haven't done it, go over to shopruger.com. Take a look at that new BX trigger they have for the 10/22 rifles and the Charger pistols. We just got in two of the Charger pistols. Man, those are cool. Fun stuff. And really accurate. Neat stuff. 866-TALK-GUN will get you in here. Line 3, Gary is in, it says Idaho, Washington. Oh, no, Idaho. That's right. He's talking about Washington, 594. Hey, Gary.
Yeah. And I want to thank you, first of all, for running through the basics of gun safety, because a lot of people fail to do that, and a lot of people who are out, even though they may go out and shoot a lot, they don't practice it, and it's very discouraging to see shooters who don't practice the 4 basic rules. The reason that I called is because I do live right next to Washington State, and as you know, 594 passed, and I-591, which should have passed, did not, and I blame that on all the money that Bloomberg and his band of billionaires spent to put all the TV ads on, which I watched them, and they were very frustrating because they were full of lies. They were very well produced, but there wasn't any truth in them, and it ended up passing 60 to 40%. Well, almost every other day now, there's a group of shooters who will go to the state capitol and other places, and they will have ARs, AR-10s, AR-15s on their shoulder, and some of them are dressed in tuxedos, and they're protesting. Well, they're becoming a source of ridicule. In fact, I saw a letter in the paper today from someone who is likening them to fruitcakes. And it gets very frustrating to see that because and nowhere in the article or in any of the letters that are written do they talk about the lies that were in 594 and why it passed. So my question is, what do you think the proper way to have people who are gun owners that want to demonstrate against that actually go out and do it?
Well, it's a great question. How do we protest and achieve the 2 things that we want? Because when you do a protest, you want to do 2 things. One is you want to get noticed. And the other is you want to be able to deliver your message, and I guess part 2B would be you actually want to affect some sort of change. So getting noticed, you can go streaking in just your sneakers and people might notice, but it doesn't maybe deliver the message that you want. Perhaps that's what you're seeing or what's going on there. There's another part of this, though, and let me just touch on this. The media, that is the group that would normally report on these protests, of gun owners who are saying that 594 is a farce, it's a scam, it's probably illegal, and it was passed due to lies. The media who would carry that message carried the message for 594. The media, almost universally in Washington State, all wanted this gun ban, this gun registration, this measure that criminalizes handing a gun, literally handing a gun to someone else. Felony. They hand it back to you, second felony. Now you're repeat offenders. I saw a great cartoon. They showed one of the hunter safety little emblems of somebody crossing a fence, and somebody was handing a gun to somebody else the way you'd safely cross a fence when you're handing a gun across. They said, in most states, this would be a safe practice for hunters. In Washington, now it becomes a felony to do this. So how do you go about protesting? Well, I say dress good. My vocabulary is not wrong. Dress as though you are a good person, law-abiding person, not somebody who wants to scare people. You actually do not get people to react positively to you by scaring them. Generally speaking, they get PO'd, and they want to make you go away, literally, figuratively, whatever. Not a good tactic.
No black helicopters here, just the facts about gun rights and gun ownership. This is Gun Talk.